Eugene Bullard was the first African-American pilot to ever fly in the war. He flew for America and for France. Eugene Bullard was born on October 9th, 1894. He was the youngest among 10 children. 3 of them died during childbirth. He was raised in Columbus, Georgia. His father was the son of a black slave, and his mother died when he was 6. Eugene was inspired by tales his father told him of a faraway land called France, where a man's social prospects were not limited by his skin color. In 1904, determined to reach France and begin a new life, 10-year-old Eugene began a rambling odyssey that led to his stowing away aboard a merchant ship, only to be caught and put ashore in Scotland. After taking a variety of jobs, he became a boxer in Liverpool at the age of 16, and by the age of 17, he became a lightweight champion. Bullard finally achieved his childhood dream on November 28, 1913, when he arrived in Paris. On August 3, 1914, Germany declared war on France, and the next day its armies invaded France and Belgium. Eugene, though still an American citizen, decided that he wanted to defend the country. He joined the Foreign Legion on October 19th. Eugene was 19 years old when he joined. As a soldier, Bullard fought with such distinction that he was awarded with a star on his uniform. He was also wounded 3 times during the war. On March 5th, 1916, leaving him too disabled for further infantry service, he joined the French Air Service. It was then that Bullard thought of rejoining the fight as an aviator. It was during his recovery at a clinic in Lyon that he became acquainted with a French Air Service officer who promised to help him become an aircraft gunner. With the help of some influential friends, Bullard was accepted as a machine gunner. He started training at Kazoo on October 6th. While training, he met a fellow gunner, Edmund Charles Clinton, who had already qualified as a pilot. Bullard called the elderly aircraft he flew Chicken Coop. His training began with mastering the ground handling characteristics of a plane with clipped wings. After 3 days of that and some more training, Bullard received his pilot certificate on July 20th, 1917. That night, every American in Paris knew that a black American by the name of Eugene Bullard had obtained a military pilot's license. Even though he got his piloting license, he was never a great pilot, and had some difficulty mastering certain planes. Bullard's barrier was a racial barrier that was broken by Bullard through the help of his friends, comrades, hard work, and dedication. Eugene was able to claim the title of becoming the first black pilot in the war. The short-term impact of this broken barrier was that Eugene was hated and treated badly by other pilots. The long-term impact of this broken barrier was that black people were able to fly in the war and become more recognized in the war. Eugene was known as the Black Swallow of Death for his courage during missions. Hoping to obtain an officer's commission in the U.S. Army Air Service, Bullard went to Paris for his medical examination. The doctors claimed that although he had flat feet and large tonsils, he was otherwise fit to fly. Bullard also bought a rhesus monkey because he always wanted to have some kind of pet. After a week of familiarization flying, Bullard was asked by Commandant Jean Menard if he was ready to fight. On September 8th, Bullard was scheduled for 2 mixed group patrols, both led by Captain Armand Pinsard. In the course of addressing his pilots in person, Menard asked them to wish Bullard well on his first mission over enemy territory, remarking that he had more medals than any of them, but fewer flying hours than all of them. The afternoon patrol turned out quite differently. The French were forming up at 6,000 feet when they spotted 4 German bombers being escorted by 16 fighters. Bullard fired at anything in front of him in a fight that transpired so quickly that he had no time to feel frightened. Over the next 2 weeks, Bullard gained experience and got over his jitters. On September 13th, he was transferred to a neighboring squadron. During a mission on November 7th, Bullard finally drove an opponent down, only to be attacked in return and crash land in French lines with 96 bullet holes in his plane. Eugene was never injured from the crash. A few days later, Bullard became separated from his formation and then spotted 7 enemy planes 3,000 feet below him. Baking into a cloud, he came up behind the formation and started firing. As his machine gun blazed, the rearmost plane on the enemy squadron was shot down. While returning from a brief mission in Paris, Bullard got into a fight with a French officer. Eugene managed to avoid a court meeting only because of his superb combat records. The officer told him that he will die and that he should just give up, and if he succeeds, then he would never be a good pilot. On November 11th, Bullard returned to his old regiment and then was further humiliated by being assigned to its service battalion until his discharge on October 23, 1919. In the 1920s and 1930s, Bullard worked as a jazz drummer and also ran an athletic club and some nightclubs in Europe. Eugene left Europe and returned to New York on July 15th. During World War II, he enlisted in a machine gun company in America and was wounded while fighting. Because of his injuries, Bullard settled down in Harlem, New York, and spent the rest of his war working as a stevedore at the Staten Island shipyard. Eugene Bullard was also employed as an elevator operator at Rockefeller Center in 1954. During his lifetime, the French showered Bullard with honors, and in 1954, he was one of the 3 men chosen to relight the everlasting flame at the tomb of the unknown soldier in Paris. On October 1959, he was made into a Knight of the Legion of Honor, the highest-ranking order and decoration bestowed by France. It was the 15th decoration given to him by the French government. Sadly, on October 12, 1961, 3 days after his 67th birthday, Bullard died of stomach cancer. Bullard was laid to rest in the Federation of French War Veterans Cemetery by French war officers in New York. Bullard requested that he can wear his war uniform in his funeral. Eugene's cousin always said that Bullard was a man both proud and humble. In 1992, the McDonnell Douglas Corporation donated to the National Air and Space Museum a bronze portrait of Bullard. Eugene's exploits as a pilot were put in print with the book The Black Swallow of Death. 33 years later, President Bill Clinton promoted Bullard to the rank of second lieutenant in the U.S. Air Force.